Leadership. It's about using the knowledge you've gained to raise those around you. Every day, leaders are formed in every corner of the territory and in all 13 Yukon University campuses. In challenging times, we can look to the fragile but resilient caribou. It's the leaders who guide the herd along traditional migration routes. It's the leaders who learn from the past and forge the future. Generation after generation after generation. And so we hold the ceremonial antler high. And while we celebrate the knowledge we've gained, we also feel responsibility rests gently but firmly on our shoulders. In graduating, our students become leaders, migrating from learning and practicing to knowing and demonstrating the path. And though the future is unknown, the ceremonial antler assures us the unknown is not to be feared. It's just another story yet to be told. And we believe your story will be great.
Constituencies, Kwanlandan, Taan, Kuchun, Constituencies, Taki, Kai, Kanitao, Taki, Kai, Kusheo, Jamena, Uye, Danke, Agungla, Iche. I'd like to thank the Kwanlandan First Nations and the Taan Kuchan First Nations for allowing us to be on their land and allowing us to speak. My name is James Allen. I'm the chancellor for Yukon University. The Yukon University has developed a comprehensive strategic plan that the university that we hope to see in the future will be a university for the people in the north. It's going to be an institution that all Yukoners can be proud of. I thank the people of the Yukon for their input into helping us develop this this special journey that we're on. Thank you. Kunstries.
Hello, I'm Lesley Brown, President and Vice-Chancellor of Yukon University. I'm thrilled to share our new strategic plan, our first as a university. This is a plan that will set our direction and guide our actions for the next 5 years. And this is a plan that was crafted from the input of over 600 people, including many of you, as well as many students, faculty, and staff. This is a plan that provides direction from our community on what is expected of us and what we could be. This is our roadmap to becoming Yukon University, to realizing the promise and potential of being Canada's first university north of 60. Our vision is to become a thriving learning and research community leading Canada's north. Grounded in our values of integrity, quality, relationships, and a just society, over the next 5 years, we will build our identity and nurture our culture as a university. We will take our place in advancing reconciliation. We will continue to develop our northern expertise. We will develop bold thinkers and confident change leaders. And we will be leaders for the common good. I invite you to visit yukonu.ca and learn more about our plan and how we will achieve it. We are in an exciting place of transformation at UkonU. Please join us on this journey of becoming Yukon University.
hear me? Okay. I'd like to welcome honored guests, friends, and family of Dr. Brown, and welcome also to our virtual guests who will be joining us from across Canada and beyond. So, I see you're all sitting down, but I'm supposed to ask you, could you all take your seats? Jamena uye danke, agungda iche. My name is James Allen. I'm the 8th Chancellor of Yukon University, but I'm also the first to become Chancellor since we transitioned into a university. I'm a member of the Champagne and Ajax First Nations, and I belong to the Wolf Clan. Our nation is around the Haines Junction region, and so I'd like to welcome you all here to this exciting event for Yukon University. It's the first time that we've held an installation ceremony, and we're pleased to be installing Dr. Lesley Brown as president this morning. But first, I'd like to acknowledge our friends from Kwan Dun and Ta'an Kuchan Council and thank them for allowing us to hold this event on their traditional territory. We are so fortunate to have the Yukon River beside us, flowing beside us, and the majestic mountains that surround us. This is a magical place. I would also like to acknowledge the smudging ceremony that took place earlier this morning. This process, as many of you know, is a way to cleanse this beautiful place and also cleanse ourselves and invite a positive energy to this event today. It's an important ceremony to perform when we're celebrating a new beginning. And I don't think you have to worry, but I think they turned the sprinklers off when they did this, so you're safe. May I ask you to all rise as we welcome in the academic procession. Please stay standing until after the national anthem. I'll open with a prayer. Tatasho tatainenje dajan dan akaklanajal shosan makantaje udunalana shu ukunyu shosan makantaje ayat dan ga janada shosan uye kujere kunashish. Creator, we ask that you give your blessing to the gathering today. We ask that you guide us and give us a safe journey today as we go through the installation of our president of Yukon University. We ask that you look after our loved ones at home, our children, and also our elders. We ask that you put your blessing hands upon the people that are sick and that are in need. We ask that you open our hearts and open our minds today. Amen. I'd like to ask Claire and Ness to join us to sing the national anthem. And Claire is a very talented young lady, and I believe I was told that she runs a clown school. So we're just going to have to ask you to be serious when you sing this national anthem. Go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. Car ton bras s'est porté l'épée, il s'est porté la croix. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits. Da ke da kau, da kanatache, O Canada nkatsanu tache. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you, Claire, for the O Canada. You may now take your seats.
You can sit down now, Chancellor. Thank you. You're all good.
Keep going.
You're all good to sit. No, you're all good to sit. You're good. You can sit down,
Oh.
Chancellor.
Hey, sorry about that.
That's okay.
Thank you, Claire, again. That was wonderful. I would like to take a moment to recognize and welcome distinguished guests in our platform party and in the audience. I ask that you hold your applause until I've completed the introductions. So the Honorable Angelique Bernard, Commissioner of the Yukon, the Honorable Pat Duncan, Senator of the Yukon, Chief Doris Bill, Kwanlin First Nation, Chief Amanda Lees, Ta'an Quechon Council, Grand Chief Peter Johnson, Chief Eric Morris, Teslin Tlingit Council, the Honorable Nils Clark, Minister of Highways and Public Works and Minister of the Environment, Kate White, Leader of the NDP and Member of the Yukon Legislative Assembly, Geraldine Van Bibber, former Chancellor of Yukon College and Member of the Yukon Legislative Assembly, the Honorable Laura Cabot, Mayor of the City of Whitehorse, Kate Nicole Morgan, Deputy Minister, Department of Education, Yukon Government. Jamina James Allen, Chancellor of Yukon University. David Morrison, Chair of the Yukon University Board of Governors. Pierce McDonald, former Chancellor of Yukon University. Terry Wininger, former President of Yukon College. Dr. Andrew Haken, President, St. Francis Xavier University. Dr. Paula Burns, President, Lethbridge College and incoming President, Langara College. Stuart Cullum, President, Olds College and incoming President, Red Deer Polytechnic. Dr. Daniel Weeks, representing Algoma University. Dr. John Doan, Faculty, University of Lethbridge. Dr. James Frank, Professor Emeritus, University of Waterloo. Neil Brown, brother of President Brown, and representing President Brown's family. Thank you. I'd like to call up Chief Bill and Chief Lees to the podium on the left.
Good morning, everyone. Dunjay. So good to see you here. Good morning, honored guests and new university president, Dr. Brown. Welcome to the shared traditional territory of the Yukon First Nation and the Ta'an Council. We're honored to be here with you today. This is the land of our people. I am honored to be here to welcome you and to talk a little bit about post-secondary education in the Yukon and how far we've come in that relationship. For a long time, it was thought that a Western system of education was the way. And First Nation people were supposed to change themselves to fit that system. A system that was not built for us and never meant for us. Well, no longer. The education system needs to change for us. We all know this now. And we know that changing this system takes time, commitment, collaboration, and many, many conversations. To work in true partnership. To create the type of programs that will prepare people to work with and for Yukon First Nations people. For anyone to do a good job providing services to our citizens, they need to know about our lands, our people, and the history that shaped who we are today. In the past, we've had people coming into our First Nation to teach us how to do something. I'll use the child and family liaison workers as an example. When the Yukon government sent child and family workers into Kwanlundum to work within our community, those workers were able to share their knowledge about how the system functions. And they also learned about how things are done within Kwanlundum, what we value, our experiences, our worldview. And they needed both perspectives in order to be successful in any First Nation community. The best educators know that learning is most effective when it is a two-way street. At its heart, education is about listening, understanding, and connecting. Dr. Brown, I am pleased to be here today to welcome you to this position. We had a chance to speak a little bit over the past few weeks, and I look forward to more conversations, collaborations, and true partnership in the future. And the fact you're holding this ceremony in this building tells me a lot about where we are in that partnership. Shoni Thun, Gunas Chis, Masi Cho, Merci, Ciao, Sayonara.
So next time I'm going to ask to go first so I don't have to follow Chief Bill. Danja, good morning. On behalf of Ta'an Kwichen Council, it is a pleasure to welcome you here this morning to the traditional territory which we share with Yukon First Nation. What an exciting time for us to be gathered here today. It's wonderful to see so many familiar faces. Without masks, too, it's wonderful. The ceremony today is to formally install Dr. Lesley Brown as president of Yukon University. I've had the pleasure of meeting Dr. Brown soon after she started her position as president of the university last August. Dr. Brown is an inspiration, and we see her as a valuable addition to the university and the Yukon community. She is deeply committed to working with Yukon First Nations to indigenize the Yukon or the university's curriculum and to incorporate other languages, cultures, and traditions. We, as Ta'an people, have already witnessed success in that area through our involvement with the Yukon First Nations Arts Certificate Program. This program has been extremely successful and is living proof that programs that incorporate reconciliation and community education can work at a university level. As an artist myself, I can't underestimate the importance of this program. It's bringing pride back to our community, and this is the type of progress we as First Nations embrace wholeheartedly. We at Ta'an Kwichen Council would like to congratulate Dr. Brown on this important day. In a few minutes, we'll be adorning Dr. Brown with presidential regalia that includes a stole that was created in the university's colors by Vashti Etzel, Cascadena artist from Ross River. This beautiful academic piece is a true testament to the traditional talents we as First Nations bring. Her work is unique and beautiful, and with a great honor that I, along with Chief Doris Bill, will be taking part in this part of the official investment ceremony. Now it is my great pleasure to pass things over to the Chair of the Board of Governors, David Morrison. Shoni Thun.
Good morning, Commissioner Bernard, honored guests, and all of you who I appreciate, as many as you that are here today as could make it, and all of you who are watching on the video link. I have the distinct pleasure today of introducing Yukon University's 8th president and vice-chancellor, Dr. Lesley Ann Brown. Smile, I said smile, right? She wasn't smiling earlier. I think she's a little nervous. When the University Board of Governors were recruiting a new president and vice-chancellor, we had a number of very specific criteria in mind, particularly our commitment to our foundation as a hybrid university, our focus on reconciliation and our indigenization principles, and our communities and community campuses. Today, it is my pleasure to tell you that we felt at the time very strongly that Dr. Brown met all of those criteria and more. I want to talk to you a little bit about Dr. Brown's experience. As a faculty member working in the field of kinesiology, Dr. Brown understood her responsibility to institutional and community service, as well as research, securing significant research funding, and publishing extensively. She has contributed extensively to the province of Alberta's health and research practices through a multitude of committees, panels, and boards, and we look forward to her doing the same here in the Yukon. As a senior administrator, she led the development and implementation of several new degrees, and again, we look forward to more as well here. Dr. Brown is an accomplished leader with proven experience leading and teaching at what we know as hybrid universities. She has won teaching awards, research awards, and even been recognized at the regional level as a compelling Calgarian. Most importantly, Dr. Brown is a leader who understands Yukon University's vision and has the skills to bring that vision to life. And a good example of that is our release of our most recent strategic plan. She is passionate about indigenization and reconciliation and has been awed by the Yukon's leadership in this area. And there are a lot of those leaders in this room today, and it's a great example of that, the leadership in both reconciliation and indigenization that has gone on in the Yukon. She's contributed to the building of universities that embrace the trades, technology, community education, academics, and research. She has a deep understanding of the power of education in transforming lives. It's her passion. She intends to ensure Yukon University remains at the forefront on the issues of equity, diversity, and combating systemic racism. I am confident she will take Yukon University to new levels, supporting its development as an outstanding Northern Canadian university and Canadian university. And of equal importance, she is very committed to the Yukon. You all must know that by now. Dr. Brown and her wife, Patty, have moved to the Yukon, purchased a home, and are excited to become part of the fabric of the Yukon. And I think they've done more in the few months they've been here than I've done in 5 years or 10 years. They've done everything. They really are committed, and that's a huge accolade from my perspective, that she is so committed to being here. Madam Commissioner, we welcome Dr. Lesley Brown as President and Vice Chancellor, and I ask you now to administer the Pledge of Office.
Dr. Lesley Brown, will you please join me at the podium?
Thank you.
Please repeat after me. I, Dr. Lesley Ann Brown,
I, Dr. Lesley Ann Brown,
as the 8th President and Vice Chancellor of Yukon University,
as the 8th President and Vice Chancellor of Yukon University,
promise to perform the duties of President and Vice Chancellor of Yukon University,
promise to perform the duties of President and Vice Chancellor of Yukon University
as prescribed by law.
as prescribed by law.
I promise to uphold the university's traditions,
I promise to uphold the university's traditions,
principles, and purposes,
principles, and purposes,
honor and support reconciliation,
honor and support reconciliation,
the Umbrella Final Agreement,
the Umbrella Final Agreement,
and self-governing final agreements,
and self-governing final agreements,
and the implementation of those agreements
and the implementation of those agreements
by building capacity through education and research for and with Yukon First Nations, to include respect and honor Yukon First Nations knowledge and worldviews, cultural and traditional practices, and educational priorities in all that the university does, and to consider the needs of Canadian students from outside the Yukon, as well as international students attending the university, and to provide educational opportunities that meet the needs of all the Yukon's communities. In the name of Yukon University and at the request of the Board of Governors, I declare you, Dr. Lesley Ann Brown, duly installed as the President and Vice-Chancellor of the University, and invest you with the authority and charge you with the responsibility pertaining to that office. Dr. Doan and Dr. Frank, Chiefs Bill and Chief Lees, I call upon you now to perform the robing ceremony.
Shonithan, Cleo Shokathan, Game Sothan, Yake Tutat, Dr. Lesley Brown, President. So it's just, excuse me, this is a really important piece in terms of welcoming Dr. Lesley Brown to our traditional territories of, the chiefs had mentioned, Kwalendon First Nation and Ta'an Cochin Council, a shared territory with a long history of friendship, family, partnership, and a strengthened bond that has been here for millennia. And it's an honor to invite Lesley Brown up beside me and to share a song from our traditional territories. This is a welcoming song. It's been shared at various potlatches and ceremonies throughout time. And this is a very important song because it recognizes that relationship and this relationship to grow and foster. And as to all the things that's found within reconciliation, these are the tools that we will use to build and strengthen that relationship. I was ready to make you dance, but maybe we'll do that afterwards. Shonithan, Yaketu, Kanishtish.
I speak now? Well, good morning. Welcome. Hello and welcome also to the people who are joining us online. Thank you everybody for being here today. My name is Lesley Brown. I'm the 8th President and Vice-Chancellor of Yukon University. I'd like to start by acknowledging that we're celebrating today on the traditional territories of the Yukon First Nation and the Ta'an-Quatchin Council. Thank you for sharing your land with us. Before I share some thoughts, I would like to take a few moments to recognize some distinguished guests and some very special people here today. Thank you to guests from Yukon First Nations, from the governments of Canada, from Yukon government, and from the City of Whitehorse. Thank you to guests from post-secondary institutions across Canada, and welcome to Whitehorse. And I would also like to recognize the members of the Yukon University Board of Governors for the privilege of leading this university. To my colleagues, the staff and faculty of Yukon University, it has been an incredibly exciting first year together. I'd like to thank you for your support and for welcoming Patty and I into your community. I feel very fortunate to be working alongside of you. Dan Weeks, Andy Haken, and Mike Mann, thank you for your support, for your mentorship, and for showing me how. To the deans at Mount Royal University, to you, I doff my cap, and I send you my thanks. And thank you to our friends who have traveled north to be with us today. I'd like to recognize my family, first my in-laws, Iris and Ted Richardson, and our son Ian and his partner Alyssa. My brother Neil is here with me on stage, and I would like to recognize him along with my parents, Tom and Ann Brown. My dad is here today, and my mom is here with me in my heart. I know I speak for Neil when I thank them both for instilling in us the value of education. Finally, to my wife, Patty McLean, thank you for your unwavering support and for your love of a wee adventure. In 1973, a group of Yukon First Nations leaders, collectively known as the Yukon Native Brotherhood, traveled to Ottawa to meet with Prime Minister Pierre Elliott Trudeau. Some of these people are here with us today. If not in person, they're here through their children and through the connection of the people who are their family. They traveled to Ottawa with a purpose, and that purpose was to be heard. You see, they had something to say. It was a message of vision formulated by their leader, Chief Elijah Smith. And their message was simple. It was that he and the First Nations people of the Yukon were worthy of equity. They traveled to be heard, and they traveled to claim their rights. Excuse me. I don't know if Madonna has this problem. I was 7 in 1973. I lived in the village of Hardgate in the county of West Dunbartonshire, just outside of Glasgow in Scotland. My dad was a student at Strathclyde University, studying to complete an engineering degree, having returned to school after spending over a decade as an apprentice engineer in the power station at Braehead. He was 31. My mom worked to support our family. She sold Avon, and she had worked her way up to being the district manager. My brother Neil was 11 and never far from a soccer ball. At that time, I was always on my bike and overjoyed because I was the only one amongst all my friends who could ride my bike without using my hands. Looking back, I never thought about education. I just knew that you went to school and then you grew up and then magically you went to work. I remember dreaming about what we wanted to be when we grew up with my friends, as if there was some magical sorting hat. My parents, though, understood the value of education. With my dad pursuing an education as a mature student, it was their unwavering commitment to one another that my brother and I would also have the option to pursue post-secondary education, to pursue whatever field of study was to be our calling. And although at that point they hadn't envisioned our family moving to Canada, they knew we wouldn't need to go very far to access a place for post-secondary learning. In 1973, Elijah Smith, leader of the Yukon Native Brotherhood, sat in front of Prime Minister Pierre Elliott Trudeau and shared the groundbreaking statement, quote, "The only way we feel we can have a future is to settle our land claim. That will return to us our lost pride, self-respect, and economic independence. We are not here looking for a handout. We are here with a plan." And that plan was presented as a statement of grievances and an approach to settlement in what is now a landmark and historical document called Together Today for Our Children Tomorrow. The defining foundation of the document was the principle that the First Nations people of the Yukon had the right to develop their lives fully in a society where their economic, cultural, and social wishes and needs were capable of being met. This document was, quote, "a settlement for our children and our children's children for many generations to come." And within this document were requests for rights to things that many of us here would have taken for granted, even at that time, like a right to have a cultural identity, a right to be different and to be accepted as fellow humans and fellow citizens, and a right to make children aware and proud of their heritage, or the right for people in their final years of life to be cared for in their own towns and villages, and the right for access to education. And within this claim was the statement, "We want our children to go to school in the Yukon. At the present time, the Yukon education system is designed to get our students ready to go outside to university. Very few of our students feel this is necessary. We feel there should be a university in the territory." In 2020, Yukon government legislated Yukon College to become Yukon University. And today, I stand here before you in humility and with deepest respect as the President and Vice-Chancellor of Yukon University, a place that was born from a vision of what is right, a place that in 1973 was imagined for the purpose of educating the children of tomorrow, and a place where today, the daughter of one of the signatories of the landmark document, Together Today for Our Children Tomorrow, is a research chair in Indigenous knowledge, Dakalama Jocelyn Jostruck. In preparing my thoughts today, I sat down with Jocelyn to ask her what she hoped for the education of our students and what she saw as the vision for Yukon University. Jocelyn spoke of a vision for our university to be a place of hope and transformation, a place where students can come to us and find possibility, a place where they can be held up and for some, invited to heal. And she spoke of the importance of a university that teaches the mind, but also nourishes the soul. And she spoke of a university as a place that, through education, cultivates change. And she called this journey of change and transformation returning to Dunke. Dun meaning people, and K meaning trail, the people's trail, or our way in the Southern Taishoni language. Like Jocelyn, I want our university to be a place of transformation. I want our university to be a place where any haze of uncertainty is cleared, and where the bites from a lack of confidence end, and where all students find truth in their identity and truth in the world around them. I want our university to be a place where all students experience those moments of sudden insight and discovery, those moments where passion becomes unleashed, and even if, for a few fleeting moments, they feel like they've got it all figured out. I know there are many educators here today, and I know that you will agree with me when I say that there is nothing more profoundly gratifying as an educator than to be lucky enough to be present, to experience one of those moments of transformation with a student. When it happens, it feels like time slows to a halt, as if to give us the one privilege that is our due, a front row seat to a display of utter joy and realization. And you know what's happening because you see a sparkle in their eyes and you see the light brightening across her face. I was a professor for 15 years at the University of Lethbridge in southern Alberta, where I taught in the Department of Kinesiology. I taught anatomy, and I taught courses on how our brain controls our movements. And along with this, I had a research laboratory in which I studied how balance changes with aging and with Parkinson's disease, and how these changes influence the risk for falling. This was a spectacular time in life for me, and when I look back on it now, I realize the immense privilege it was to be part of that journey for so many students, to share the things that I have learned, and for some, help them discover things for others to know. So many moments of sparkle, so many moments of possibility, and so many moments of great fortune. To my students, thank you. Thank you for sharing your journey in education with me. Thank you for your brilliance and your brightness. You have inspired me more than you would ever know. There are two educators with us today who have shaped me immensely. Dr. Jim Frank and Dr. John Doan, both of whom accompanied me throughout my education and my career. As your program indicates, Jim was my supervisor for my doctoral degree, and John was my first doctoral student. Thank you both for being here. It means the world to me. Larry Bacow, who is the president of Harvard University, said that universities exist to generate new knowledge and to educate students to put that knowledge to work to make the world a better place. I would argue that people don't choose to come to university to make the world a better place. In fact, Harvey Weingarten, who's the former president of the University of Calgary, shared that the dominant reason that students choose to attend university is to obtain the education and the credential that's required to secure and succeed in a good job. And so this is where the question arises. How is it that people who gain a university education make the world a better place? I just can't imagine that it's the discipline-specific knowledge that students learn that improves humanity, like the names and the sites of attachment of all the muscles in the body, which is what I taught for many years. It must be the lessons learned through the experience of education, those invitations of serendipity and opportunity where students get to step right in with both feet and think freely and critically about information that is new to them. where they bend their minds to solve problems and hatch new ideas, and where they share these ideas and solutions freely and creatively and with the fullness of their hearts to other people who listen and who critique and who work alongside them in productive ways. No matter if they're working through a group project on permafrost damage or they're learning the skill of arc welding. As a student, and even as an educator, these are the experiences that magically change us. They help us to see the world through the eyes of someone else, and in doing so, help us to become citizens for a better world. 6 weeks ago, there was an apology to Indigenous people for the Catholic Church's role in the tragedy of residential schools. The actions by colonists eradicated culture, denigrated lives, destroyed families, and killed an unknown number of children. And while this apology was issued for shameful actions in our history, the legacy of those actions remains today. And that legacy can be seen, as the Right Honorable David Johnston has said, quote, in the colonial and often downright racist attitudes held by generations of people in our country. As the former Senator Murray Sinclair has suggested, sometimes racism comes from a lack of knowledge. And like Senator Sinclair, I must also believe that we are capable of change, and that if people are given an opportunity to learn more, they can and will change. As the president of a university that is poised to take a place amongst the League of Universities in Canada, I understand our collective and vital obligation to lead and make change. True change and good change happens when it's grounded in truth. And so I see it as my duty to ensure that students who choose to come to Yukon University learn how to seek and cultivate truth. That they are invited to interact with information, to engage in debate and experimentation, to question authority and existing structures, history, and past assumptions, so that they may learn how to discover what is true. And that alongside of this, they are also given the space to reflect on this truth. That they are provided invitation to step courageously into the space between what is known and what could be next. The space of question, of criticism, of reason, of imagination, and of possibility. And in doing so, I must believe that through these experiences, we can help to build a better world, if even just the ideals of equity and inclusion, so that when students graduate from Yukon University, they will walk together, alongside one another, on a shared path to decolonization and reconciliation, and also to the equity of all people, and also to continued democracy. Last month, Yukon University released a new strategic plan. It's our very first as a university. And the plan is entitled Becoming, because it's a word that reflects our evolution as an institution transitioning from a proud history as a college to become a university. And it's also a word that captures the reason that students choose to pursue post-secondary education, because they want to become a something. Yukon University, our vision is bold and it's aspirational. Yukon University will become a thriving, learning and research community leading Canada's north. The facing page of our new strategic plan displays the word becoming translated as closely as possible into each of the 8 Yukon First Nation languages. We have done this because we are a university that was born of the vision of a group of First Nations chiefs. And we have done this because we are humble. And from this place of humility, we will never lose sight of our history. And we've done this because we're proud. And from this place of pride, we will carry forward a vision that was born of what is right and what is just. And we have done this because it's time. It's time to make a journey of transformation alongside Yukon First Nations, and it's time for Yukon University to help make Canada become better for tomorrow. Before I finish, I would like to take a moment to share with you my distinct honor to recognize Judy Gingell, member of the Yukon University Board of Governors, former commissioner for the Yukon Territory, elder representative and council member of the Kwanlin First Nation, crusader, activist, and change maker, 1973 traveler to Ottawa and signatory on the landmark document Together Today for Our Children Tomorrow. Judy, thank you for your courage and for the role that you played in imagining this university. Can I ask that you stand beside me to be recognized? With Judy beside me, I am honored to stand with her to recognize the remaining living signatories on the Together Today for Our Children Tomorrow document. Chief Sam Johnston of the Teslin Tlingit Council, Chief Danny Joe of the Selkirk First Nation, Chief Clifford McLeod of Ross River Dene Council, Chief Jimmy Enoch of White River First Nation, and Chief Percy Henry of Trondic-Quechin, and also Jocelyn Jostrac's father, Executive Director Dave Joe of Champagne-Ajac First Nations. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
Congratulations, President Brown.
Thank you.
I'd like to call on those who have arranged to provide words of congratulations. The first being the Honorable Patricia Duncan, Senator of the Yukon. If you can take the mic there.
Thank you for your kind invitation to join you today. I am truly grateful to live and work in the traditional territory of the Kwanlin First Nation and the Tonquachin Council. And I'm delighted to join you in this very special ceremony, the installation of Dr. Lesley Brown, the President and Vice-Chancellor of Yukon University. Dr. Brown mentioned the first strategic plan for Yukon University. It outlines the beginning of Dr. Brown's journey as President and is aptly titled, as she noted, The Journey of Becoming. Outlining the journey of becoming before detailing the strategic plan and the specific steps, there's recognition of where we began. The Yukon Vocational and Technical Training Center offered an option after graduation from F.H. Collins, an alternative to further our education here at home, or from those outside of Whitehorse to remain in the Yukon and closer to home than a college in BC or Alberta. Working as a young university graduate in a research policy position in the Department of Education, then housed in the main administration building, I have two key memories I'd like to share with you that are relevant to today's ceremony. I was tasked with working on a cabinet submission that the Yukon Vocational Technical Training Center course offerings be expanded to become Yukon College. The documents included recommendation for the construction of a new building. I also, on behalf of the department, followed an opposition MLA task force on education, led by the Honourable Pierce MacDonald, that traveled throughout the Yukon, listening to the recommendation of Yukoners for the future of education in the territory. Pierce's commitment to education continued through his political career, including serving as Minister of Education, overseeing the Yukon's First Education Act, and post-politics as Chancellor of Yukon College. He's been recognized today. Pierce, thank you for your dedication and commitment to the foundation, building the foundation for Yukon University. Embarking on our journey, we're thankful for the work of those who have gone before. Knowing where we've been enables us to clearly plan for the future. The plan for Yukon University, becoming, the roadmap for Dr. Lesley Brown as president, pledges to deliver what the North needs, as determined by the people of the North. The plan pledges inclusive, quality, truth-seeking education, advancing reconciliation with decolonizing actions, and continuing to develop Northern expertise. The 2022-2027, the first strategic plan for Yukon University, in the opening pages, as I've noted, and as Dr. Brown noted, is bold and aspirational. Dr. Brown, I would suggest to you it's ambitious, it's challenging and admirable, and under your leadership, it's achievable. You bring to Yukon University your dedication and passion for education and for community. You immediately understood the strength of the Yukon communities outside of Whitehorse and the role that of the Yukon University Satellite Campus in building community and contributing to the resilience of the territory. You appreciated all that Whitehorse and the Yukon as a whole has to offer and what becoming Yukon University will bring to the Yukon. Today, we officially welcome you in your role as Yukon University President and offer you our very best wishes as the strategic plan becomes a reality, as you take the steps on the journey of becoming Yukon University. Welcome. Congratulations, Dr. Lesley Brown, Yukon University President. Thank you. Merci. Ganashchis. Masicho.
Thank you, Senator Duncan. I'd like to ask the Honourable Nils Clark, Minister of the Environment and Highways and Public Works, to come up.
Donche, bonjour, and good morning, everyone. I'm honored to stand here today to congratulate Dr. Lesley Brown on her former installation as President of Yukon University. My esteemed colleague, Jeannie McLean, Minister of Education, was unfortunately unable to attend to be here today. However, she has asked me to pass on her very best wishes and to congratulate you, Dr. Brown, on this very special day. We gather today at Canada's first university north of 60, which is located on the shared traditional territory of the Kwantlen First Nation and the Tonquichan Council. Dr. Brown, in her thoughtful comments, has recognized the Yukon University's deep commitment to indigenization, reconciliation, and community education that was a significant driver behind her initial interest in this position. I know that her work with Yukon First Nations, she will continue to gain tremendous knowledge and experience in Indigenous self-government, enabling Yukon University to continue to lead Canadian post-secondary institutions in reconciliation. The university's five-year strategic plan, released just last month with the title Becoming, translated into 8 regional Indigenous languages, speaks to the integrity of both the institution's commitment and Dr. Brown's personal commitments to advancing reconciliation and cultivating strong relationships with Yukon First Nations people and governments. Yukon University is leading Canada's North in providing our territory with quality learning and research opportunities. Yukon learners will be equipped to make change and positively impact local and global communities because of the vision showed by leaders like Dr. Brown. across the learning continuum from cradle to career. It's an interesting concept. Yeah, but I guess it's true. Cradle to career, yes, and perhaps even further, post-career. Access to education is not experienced equally for all learners. Our education system needs to inclusively support all learners. Access to local higher education opportunities guided by our leaders at Yukon University will play a vital role in ensuring an inclusive and supportive educational experience is in place for all adult learners. Dr. Brown, you lead with a strong student-centered focus and are an inspiring role model and a beacon of inclusion for all students. The impact you have on our community is both significant and deeply appreciated. Your compassion, your tenacity, your irrefutable strength of presence, and your expertise will lead Yukon University boldly into a future of excellence for higher education in the Yukon. Congratulations, President Brown, and we welcome you to your new home. The Yukon is ready for you. Masi Cho, Soga Senla, Shonithan, Ganochi. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Clark. I would like to invite to the podium Neil Brown, the brother of President Brown. And yes.
Good morning, and thank you. I am Lesley's brother, and my name is Neil. I'm truly honored to be here today, accompanied by our father, Tom, to offer a few words of congratulations to my sister on her installation as president of Yukon University. But before proceeding, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge and thank the faculty, board, and staff of Yukon University, the various members of local, territorial, and federal governments, as well as the many First Nations leaders, on behalf of my family for being here today. I'd also like to thank the many colleagues of Lesley's who have made the journey to be here, and I'm sure many of you are as surprised as I am to be here today. Les, I've watched with pride and admiration the journey that has brought you here today, making stops along the way at McMaster, Windsor, Waterloo, Oregon, Lethbridge, Mount Royal, in your pursuit of and eventually delivering higher education. Les mentioned in her remarks the Scottish working class background that defined our family and gave us our roots. Indeed, our father was the first in our family lineage, at least to the best of my knowledge, who chose a path of higher education. Who chose that path not for the betterment of his life, but for the betterment of our lives and our children's lives. I know we are both deeply grateful for the sacrifices he made when we were younger, paving the path for us to follow on our own university educations. My sister and I were fortunate to have another lens into the university life and the world of higher education. When we were quite young, and around about the same time Dad went to university as a mature student, our grandparents, on my dad's side, took the job of live-in caretaker managers at the International Students' Dormitory building at Strathclyde University in Glasgow. We spent many weekends at our grandparents', and this gave us an early glimpse into the life of a student, the stresses of exam times, the fun and frivolity following the stresses of exam times, but it also gave us very early exposure to the many different peoples and cultures as students came from all over the world to attend the university. We were soon to learn that despite all their cultural and culinary differences, they all shared a love for our Nana Brown's homemade soup. So with all this early exposure to higher education and the university life, you might think Lesley was destined to develop within and to be of service to the pursuit of academic achievement. But that was not quite the case, particularly in her grade school, middle school years. Now, Lesley was a good student. She was a decent student when she was younger, but probably safe to say she had to work hard at it, and not everything came naturally to her. I would say that this was particularly true of percentages. And I vividly recall one evening when she would have been in that grade where you learn percentages, sitting at the kitchen table, trying her best to work through some of the problems which were clearly giving her some grief. I was sitting in the family room close by, my homework done for the evening, and my dad was trying to help Les figure things out. I'd sensed that Dad had lost his patience somewhat when I heard from the family, "For Christ's sake, Les, how can you not understand percentages? Are you stupid or something?" Now, to be fair to my dad, this was an instructional technique deployed quite popularly in the west of Scotland at the time, particularly the outskirts of Glasgow. Progress through ridicule. And for all of the young professors and early in your career educators out there, I wouldn't recommend it. As the instruction continued, Dad followed up with, "You're going to need to learn percentages if you're going to go to university, you know." "I'm not going to university," Les said. "I'm going to run away and join the army," was Lesley's response as she slammed her book shut. Sensing the opportunity to offer up some brotherly advice and guidance at this time, I said, "Les, I'm pretty sure they use percentages in the army." And here we are today, talking about percentages at the ceremony marking your installation as president of Yukon University. You see how important they are? Now, you're taking on a big job, sis, at a big time and with a big responsibility. A responsibility to progress this institution and lead its evolution. A responsibility to serve the communities of the Yukon. A responsibility to drive and be part of solutions, progress, recognition, and healing. On behalf of our entire family, congratulations to you. And if you'll permit me some further brotherly advice, be guided by the values of this esteemed organization. Be guided by the values that you have developed within yourself based on the foundation of your roots and nourished by the journey that has led you here. Seek counsel when you are unsure. Seek counsel even when you think you are sure. I'm incredibly proud of all that you've achieved, and I know that Dad and the rest of our family are similarly proud. Thank you for the honor of speaking here today, and once more, congratulations, Les.
Thank you, Neil Brown. I would like to ask Konstantin Milos, the president of the Yukon University Student Union, to come up, please.
Congratulations, President Brown. On behalf of the student body, as a student union president, I would like to say that we're very pleased to have you leading Yukon University. Your embodiment and respect and appreciation for diversity is courageous and commendable. We are confident as we move forward, you'll continue to guide Yukon University's development while respecting its past. The Yukon University Student Union looks forward to working with you and your team in building Canada's first university north of 60. Thank you. Merci.
Rise for the closing prayer. Kanishish, Creator, for looking after us during this ceremony. We ask that you again give us guidance and support as we and the new president blaze a new trail for the Yukon University. We ask that you bless each and every one of us as we journey home. We ask that, again, that you give us guidance, give us your blessing as we forge ahead for this new university with a new president. Gunishish. Amen. I'd like to thank everybody for coming. I'd like to thank the people that are on the virtual visitors too. And I wish you all a safe journey home, and go home and look after your loved ones. Thank you.